like to prove them wrong every time. You're never going to be able to figure out the game, but you can play it to your advantage. It's like playing with fire. Fire's good. Fire's beneficial, but you really have to be able to control it. We had to learn how to stop trading our time for money and start trading money for time.
Hello and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Ari Page, and I am CEO of Fund and Grow and host of the Thrive and Prosper Fund and Grow podcast. And today we are very excited to have one of our clients, Christy, who is joining us. And Christy does a bunch of different things, but I'm really excited to have her here on the podcast to talk about her experience with Fund and Grow, as well as what she's currently out there doing. So Christy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit? Let us know what you're doing, like your company with Three Doors Properties, as well as the investing that you're doing, so that viewers can know a little bit about your background and what you're using funding for.
Absolutely. So 2 years prior to finding Fund and Grow, I was forced out of corporate America, which was a blessing. And I swore I would never work again for an employer. So I said, okay, we got to do a Hail Mary. We're not set up for retirement, So I stole my husband's traditional IRA, flew to Memphis and bought 3 houses for rental properties. So hence our name was Three Doors Properties. Since then, we've kind of branched into the note Connectress because it's more easy to remember. It's better branding. Three Doors Properties sounds like, yeah, no big deal. So long story short, we're up to about 14 turnkey properties. And then 2 years after that, we started looking for more tools. We were running out of capital. So I said, I'm searching around looking for more tools in my toolbox, and I stumbled across Fund and Grow. So that was a success, obviously, because I've been back for 4 rounds. So what I was doing is looking for that 25% down, and then the bank comes in with their, 75 or 80%. And that worked for a while. COVID kind of killed the model. So we had to look for new tools. Anyway, I kept coming back to Fund and Grow, because, you have to have various sources of capital to keep growing. And I wanted to keep growing. So, and here we are. After COVID, we transitioned out of rental properties, and now we only own the paper. And we go out and actually find a property that's undervalued, and we do what we call a slow flip or a low hab or a no hab. We turn around and we sell it to a great working family who maybe can't get through bank underwriting, and we give them that seller financing. So you could call it a slow flip, but we put our own flavor to it.
Yeah, I love that. That's very creative. And it sounds like you are very successful at what you do as well, especially considering how much funding you've got and how much you've put that into your business and how you're continuing to make returns. But a real quick question, how did because you've mentioned a variety of different, like using different types of funding. Could you talk about that for a minute? Like what was it like using the business credit card funding and in conjunction with the other loans that you use?
Okay, so for instance, with Fannie Mae loans, the investor comes in with, let's say, 20%, and the Fannie Mae comes in with 80. Okay, well, that was a good model. We were going to do 20 properties, which is each spouse is allowed 10 of these Fannie Mae loans. Okay, but you still got to keep coming up with that 20% over and over. So that's what got me into looking for capital sources.
Why is Amazon paying me $20,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money selling yoga mats or toasters, and I wasn't talking my friends into buying vitamins or juices. I did it.
And so that got us to where we are. Will we stick model? Not necessarily. Now we've kind of evolved to where we can get private lenders to 4% of our acquisition which means our returns are infinite. Because if we have little or nothing in, we're bringing in the know-how, we're bringing in the opportunities, we're putting homeowners into homes. So a lot of benefits. And we're also supplying these retirees with a great secured return, first place on a real estate property, and they're making great returns in their, hopefully, tax-free retirement account. So Roth is, I'll say it all day long, Roth's the way to go. If you can get a Roth Solo 401k, that's the cream of the crop. That's our lifeblood. And it's a win-win-win all the way around.
Now, this is something that you actually help other clients with. So you haven't only found huge success in that strategy, but now you're actually even onboarding clients and you're helping other people make funding through this strategy, right? Or making returns through that strategy.
Right. We like to call them financial friends. We don't do this under SEC. You can't just, advertise, hey, I'm going to get you a great return on your retirement account. That's not okay. We establish relationships with the people we do business with. I was just telling the other gal that twice a year we go on an investor cruise. We cruise with these people and we build trust, and we only do business with those we know, like, and trust. So they've become our funding partners as well. So we may not always have to use that credit card capital. Yeah, it's great to have, and you have to have really good discipline, because credit card companies want you to fail. They're banking that you're going to fail, but we like to prove them wrong every time. It's all charted out. If I have 18 months, that money is ready to go, ready to pay that off. And so I'm playing the game to my advantage.
So if somebody wants to learn more about this from you and join you on the cruise, how could they do that? Do you have a number or a link that we could drop real quickly and then we'll continue?
Yeah, they can fill out my contact form on noteconnectress.com, noteconnectress.com. Yeah, of what we've been doing, what's involved, how they can contact us, just to ask questions.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And then is this something that they can join you on the cruise for as well?
That depends. We're actually leaving next week. So This one is sailing away next week, and there will be another one in August. We'll be going to Europe, to Sweden, to Iceland. And so they would want to go look at investoraddicts.com to see what's in the works for that. Investoraddicts.com.
Awesome. And guys, we're going to have all those links below in the video, so you can go and click on them. And when you're introduced to a highly successful student, pay attention to what they're doing to make money, because this is really valuable stuff. To be able to make money through notes where you're kind of hands off and you still have a nice cash flow coming in, and you're able to even in some cases use retirement money to do that. This is definitely a great strategy. So I'm really thankful to have you on, Christy. So to date, it looks like you've secured over about 604,700 in funding through Fund and Grow. Could you walk us? Let's go back a little bit. So when you were heavily using the credit card, so walk us through a deal or a project that probably wouldn't have been possible without having that funding.
Okay, so that's over a course of about 6 years. So in any given year, let's say I have 80 to 100,000, and then I take that money as I'm able and put it in my LLC and then invest. When I began, I was only the passive partner on a note. I wasn't the note originator like I am now. So let's say I only had 10,000. So I would piggyback on somebody else's note, earn a great return, learn the paperwork, learn the process, and then keep doing that. And then the fact that I have a deadline to pay those credit cards off before that 0% intro, very motivating. And it forces you to be a really great bookkeeper and really diligent. So I almost say that those credit cards are like a private lending partner, only I don't ask them permission. I just use them. They're another tool in my tool belt.
I love that. So, and as you were working with us, what stood out to you about the Fund and Grow team and the process that you went through?
What if I told you that the traditional advice about retirement planning is actually putting your life savings at risk? As a fiduciary advisor, I've seen too many couples lose their hard-earned money because they didn't know about this one.
They do a lot of stuff that I'm not willing or wanting to do, like negotiating with credit card companies. The last thing I want to do is be on a phone call with a credit card company, trying to get my credit limit raised, or trying to get a denial reversed, all of those things. So I really appreciate being able to outsource that to somebody else, somebody who does it for a living and it's no big deal to them. But for me, I want to keep my stress level as low as possible. So I'm happy to pay somebody else for their expertise.
Absolutely. And would you say, for someone who's maybe considering Fund and Grow but feels hesitant, what would be a message from Christy, from what you've done, from where the 0% credit has gotten you to now? Because now I believe you've even moved on from having to use that all the time, right?
Right. Now, as far as the FICO score goes, it's a lose-lose game. They don't want you to be able to figure out their game. There's so many different algorithms. Your FICO score is different on this website or that website, or if it's for a home loan versus a credit card. You're never going to be able to figure out the game, but you can play it to your advantage. Your credit score is going to go up and down. It's kind of moronic that if you use your credit, it drops your score. I mean, it's just stupid. But it's all in the timing. So it's like playing with fire. Fire's good. Fire is beneficial, but you really have to be able to control it. So, and then the fact that you team up with Caden Credit Help, I believe it's called Cadem.
Yep.
If you need just a little help getting that FICO score up, they are a very cost-effective way of doing that. Even as a prerequisite to starting your first round of Fund and Grow.
Yeah, we've had countless clients go through the Cadem Credit Help process and get all types of things removed off their report, and get their report enhanced. And then they came back and they were able to get us, or they were able to get a lot of funding through Fund and Grow. And so, yeah, that's a great partnership. But something I wanted to touch on is what you mentioned about when you use personal credit, it tanks your scores. And so, of course, that's why we're such big proponents of using business credit, where they look at your personal credit to grant it to you, but then they report the credit to your business credit reports. They don't report it to your personal credit report, even though they initially approve it off of that. And so that's one of the big beneficial things about using credit. And I know Christy is very aware of this, just for viewers, so that they understand that once you're approved for it, it's actually not even reporting to your personal credit. That way, you're able to leverage the card as you need and pay it down as you need. And your credit scores aren't going up and going down and going up and going down, which can many times stop you from getting access to other forms of funding that you may need to apply for in the meantime. So looking back on this from like a lessons learned advice perspective, what advice would you give, Christy, to other real estate investors about leveraging different forms of funding and doing that responsibly? Because you touched on that earlier. It sounds like you're very detail oriented.
I'd say, first of all, education is the number one asset that you can get for almost free. On the internet, there's tons and tons and tons of resources, podcasts, mini courses, REI groups, real estate investor groups. I mean, I just say, just start learning as much as you can. Then and then start implementing some of these tools that you're learning from others, and look at the people who are successful, follow what they do.
And did you set up like spreadsheets to track the 0% period of time, like that type of stuff?
Yeah, I track that on an Excel, and I'm on it almost every day. It's called my debt destruction spreadsheet. And
I love that.
I do eventually want to like wean myself away from the credit cards and get more other sources of funding, like the business lines of credit, which is not a little plastic card, but something like a HELOC.
Right, a BLOC.
Right.
So, okay, and that's something that we'll discuss more of that too, because Fund and Grow does that through our loan division called Sprout Loans. We do apply for BLOCs, so we'll talk more about that and see if we can get some of those going for you as well. And those are in many ways based more on cash flow. They do, of course, still look at your credit, but I know yours is excellent. But they look at cash flow in conjunction with good credit and your business credit profile before granting those ones. But they can be very lucrative loans. But sometimes the reason why clients will decline those is because of the overall rates that they charge. Some BLOCs are just horrible. Like even on a HELOC right now could be anywhere between 6 to low 8s, and with a BLOC it could easily be higher than that. That's the downside of that, and the upside of using business credit cards. Because as Christy knows, and as many viewers do, you can use a business credit card similar to the way you would use a line of credit when you use the right payment services. And so they will allow you to fund an escrow account directly. You can pay vendors that don't accept credit cards. It's not quite as easy as just drawing money off, because you have to use a payment service, but the payment service will pay any of those types of transactions that you wish to draw directly off your credit card.
Yep. And that's where the education comes in, because one of those servicing companies will only allow you to make a mortgage payment if it's a Discover or a MasterCard. So you kind of have to learn the little nuances to be able to play that game. And yeah, it comes in handy once in a while. I'm happy to pay a 2.5% fee to push off, a $1,500 house payment for another few months.
Yeah, that's great. So you've been doing so much of this, Christy. You're a really advanced user, I have to say. You've been through the program so many times. You built up a lot of credit. You're moving on to using other forms of funding. But looking back on all this, is there anything that you would maybe have done differently throughout your funding strategy, or did you feel that the business credit cards were a perfect stepping stone?
Well, when we got started, we were over 50 years old. So, we started from square one, knowing nothing but how to be a W-2 employee. So we had to learn how to stop trading our time for money and start trading money for time. So right now, as we have aged a bit since we were 50, we're no longer really bringing in a ton of LLC money, taxable money, which is what the banks want to see. Most of our income is tax-free in retirement income and returns on all of our notes. So that may not be a scenario where the banks want to keep giving us more and more credit. Okay. But it has gotten us to where we are now, where we can attract the lending partners who say, hey, I have retirement money sitting around doing nothing and I don't know what to do with it. So then we can give them a resource to make good returns without them having to get on the cruises and the conferences and learn all of this that we have taught ourselves for the last several years. So our goal is to get 75% of our income tax-free. That's the goal.
That's an awesome goal.
A good stepping stone. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an awesome goal. And again, I want to remind viewers that go to the link below and check out what Christy's doing. And you can join her on the Connectress.com. And you can learn about what's going on and see what potential options there are for you. And you might even, if you're lucky, be able to join her on one of her upcoming cruises and talk directly to her so that you can learn how to do exactly what Christy and her husband are doing. And I don't know if I said that the right way with the way that the FTC views that, but hopefully I got that right. With your investing, it sounds like you've been pretty aggressive in moving forward, but how would you say that you balance like using the credit aggressively while also staying financially disciplined, considering the 0% time frames and the different interest rates with other forms of loans? How would you say that you've made that balance?
What's going on?
Last day, the restructuring.
Dan, you've been here 11 years.
11 years didn't matter. You know what mattered? That kid, Alex.
Okay. I will say that I've probably used the system to its maximum benefit. And now I need to transition more into people resources, private lenders. Because obviously there's a expiration date on those 0%. So you have 12 to 18 months to get really aggressive in getting them paid back. And in the meantime, they're paying for my trips, they're paying for my flights, my hotels, my conferences, my cruises, which is great. Because I really enjoy putting everything on a credit card and then paying back the credit card instead of trying to do a budget per se. It's just my own way of doing things. It's cleaner, it's easier to me, but I want to get to the point where I'm paying off those credit cards every month, that I'm not going to have this deadline looming over me. So I'm on my fast target right now of getting out of any carryover credit. I'm going to maintain all of the credit cards with their balances, but I'll only use the 0% as kind of a bonus, a little cash influx, but not as a steady diet anymore, because I've been doing it for 6 years. It served its purpose. It got us to where we are now.
I love that. And, you know, another benefit about what you're doing, Christy, is just by running your company, your business transactions through the cards, you're getting cash back and airline miles and all kinds of rewards that you wouldn't get if you were just spending directly out of your business bank account. Do you recall how much rewards and cash back you've gotten over the last couple of years just from running that spending through the cards?
Yeah, I honestly have too many credit cards, and I didn't focus on those points until just recently. I built up a $400 cruise credit on one particular credit card, and another gave me a teaser of 75,000 bonus points. So I focused on that card until I got the bonus. That's fine. Some people spend a lot of time, playing those point games. It just wasn't on my radar. I'll take it when I can get it. But it wasn't my focus. Now I do want to take all the credit cards I have and start just getting down to the most beneficial ones, and maybe let some of the others go, as long as it doesn't hurt my credit, of course.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend shutting them off, but you could just focus on using the ones that give you the best rewards. Like I can tell you, last year alone, I got $14,000 in cash back from just running expenses that my business would have been paying for, running them through business credit cards instead. And I don't care who you are, getting even $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000, especially $14,000 of cash back. And that was just from the cash back cards. Some of my cards are airline mile rewards. Some of them are other forms of rewards. And I love using that. And I'm not like a big points hacker type person, but I will run them through a card because of the various benefits you get. For example, like if we happen to be working with a contractor that doesn't live up to their word, you know how easy it is for us to turn that card over and call the number on the back and initiate a chargeback and get our money back? See, that's a form of asset protection that we can do on different jobs. Let's say you're putting a new roof on a flip, and the roofing contractor just skips out on you after you've put the down payment or paid for the whole thing, God forbid. Instead of having to argue with them or go to small claims court or go back and forth with them, the bank becomes your enforcer. You just call the bank up and they reverse the transaction for you. And so not only are we earning cash back and rewards and miles, we're also implementing a form of asset protection on each given purchase. And so these benefits are really, really powerful. And other forms of loans actually don't give those benefits. So these are some of the underspoken things that people just don't realize come along with, because when they think of a credit card, they think of like, oh, bad debt. You know, credit cards are bad debt. They don't realize that you can use it like a line of credit, that you're going to get cash back from it, that you're going to be able to use it as a form of asset protection. And so this is one of the things that Fund and Grow does. We're educating our clients. And we have a master class that people can join and they can learn more about that. Christy mentioned, she emphasized education being so important, that we love educating all of our potential prospects as well as our clients on all the different benefits of using business credit cards. And we're also big proponents of using all the forms of leverage that are possible, of DSCR loans, of hard money, business lines of credit, private money, even SBA loans, as horrible as they are, when it makes sense. So
this video didn't find you by accident. This is your chance to sell your home not to a lowball buyer, but to a reputable local investor who can purchase your house in as little as 14 days, giving even agent representatives.
Yeah, you could say in our case, we've actually used credit to fund our retirement, because it goes through the LLC and then it flows straight to my solo 401k, which is building up my retirement. So, and those retirement accounts, they need to be funded every year. So it's a big flow.
So Christy, what is next for Christy, the Note Connectress? What is your next chapter looking like? Okay,
so we've already got 2 houses this year that we purchased below market.
Already this year. Wow, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yes. Thank you. It's really exciting because now I'm a note don't say a note originator. That sounds too official, but I am a note creator. Okay. So we actually bought the house and turned around, put a homeowner in it. We borrow for 20 years and then we resell on a 30-year note. So a private lender is getting a great note and we have a great buyer. We're keeping the arbitrage. And so we're just going to keep stacking those. And as long as I can get on a plane and go view those properties and do all the bookkeeping, I don't see any end to this. I don't ever plan to quote unquote retire.
I love that. I love your energy and your direction and how you were able to just completely flip the script when most people are stuck in their W-2 job, and you and your husband decided that you were going to pave a new path. And you guys did that. You did it successfully. Now you're not only making money and creating an amazing retirement, but you're going on all kinds of cruises and having a fun time doing that with other investors and with clients. So I'm sure people watching this are probably a little bit jealous, but that's what you get when you buckle down, you stay disciplined. And I know it wasn't all easy. I know you probably had many days where you were figuring out how things worked and it felt, scary and you didn't know how you were going to do this, that, or the other. But with discipline and with fortitude and with education, it's brought you to where you are today. So I'm really proud of you, and I'm thankful that you were a client of ours and that you came onto the podcast to teach us all about what you're doing. And I want to remind everyone again to go to the links in the video, check out what Christy's doing, see if it's something that you want to get involved in. You could also become the next Note Connectress or the next person that's funding your retirement through such creative, amazing strategies. So thank you so much for joining us today, Christy. I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you.